Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It's Marvin speaking. We're going to go back to a case which I'd covered and was technically, I was waiting for more information to actually come in going through newspapers and online. It's about missing Jack O'Sullivan. There's a police reference number if anyone's if got any information. There's an email, find Jack as well, 23@gmail.com. A reward is being offered as well, and you can call obviously 111 with information about Jack and his disappearance if anyone's got any up-to-date information. So we're going to get straight into the introduction, which is good, from the lady.
Welcome back to Someone Who Tried to Kill Themselves. So today I'm going to be talking about Jack O'Sullivan, who is currently missing. Jack went missing the morning of March the 2nd following a party on Hot Wells Road in Bristol. Jack attempted to get a taxi home but failed. The last CCTV footage of him is at 3:40 AM on Bennett's Way in Cumberland Basin, which is in Bristol. Jack has gone around in a few circles trying to work out the best way for him either to get home or get a taxi. It is believed he was heading back to Hot Wells Road in the last sightings of him. His phone was active until just before 7 AM around Granby Hill, and the data has been sent and received up until this point. His phone was an iPhone 11 in a red silicone case. It is extremely unlikely that Jack voluntarily went missing, and so help is needed to help the family find answers they desperately need. Any information can be reported to the police by calling 111, and the reference number is 522 40 55 172. And hopefully we can bring some peace to Jack's family and get some answers.
Yeah, it's a worrying situation because his mum was on a show 5 days ago, and I'll cover some of that in a minute. He seemed, this kid, well, young man, he seemed like a bright lad, and he doesn't seem the kind of kid that would get himself into a situation. And if there was a problem, I'm sure he would have rang his parents to get out of there. It's very, very odd how he didn't pick up his phone. There's two things I can think of, which, one, he could have been jumped or hit over the head and thrown into the river, which is a horrible, horrible thing. Or two, he had an accident and fell in. They're the only really two things I can honestly think of. But the second one would obviously him falling in cold water. It was March time, the weather wasn't great then. That's a possibility. He's had a few drinks and couldn't, swim very good. That river is deep as anything. I've looked into it. It goes down really deep. It's got a very, very strong current, and someone could go missing very, very quickly in that water, even whether they were shouting for help. Maybe there weren't that many people around at that time, but the main road which he crossed seemed kind of busy, and I'm surprised. What surprises me is that nobody's seen him or heard of him if he did have a fall into that river. Let's get straight into, move on to the next video. Is Mum actually talking to a morning show, which is quite important. We're going to move on to the second part. The first part, if you go on this morning, you could see there she's actually talking about the time span in talking to him, and her feelings when it got to 5:15. She wanted to go out and look for him, which she did near where the party was. So she was scoping whether she could see him. She believed that he was looking for a taxi, and the police had said they reckon he slipped into the water and maybe had an accident and drowned. Technically, that is their theory. But she moved on to say that she done a lot investigating CCTV cameras of footages of him. She seemed to do more than what the police actually had done. And when she did say, look, I've got some pieces, I think it's him, they dismissed it a bit. I think what it was is that, she was, it's her son. She 100% wanted as much information as possible, but they want to deal with it. Sometimes I think when you override them, they didn't like it.
A few days pass and more CCTV is now being obtained and gathered, and it is now starting to plot Jack's route, the journey that they can see him making. They show us because just to confirm that we are happy that this is Jack now. But for a long time, it only placed him at a certain point. And then many weeks later, because I really requested to see the CCTV myself.
Of course.
And it was a battle, but the police did release it to us. And on that CCTV, I actually found Jack on a different part, walking, sort of heading back into town.
So you found a different sighting to the...
Wow. And she would have known that was her son as well. She really scoped this video.
Than the police had found.
Yes.
Just as a statement from the police, we kept an open mind throughout this investigation. Our inquiries have been led by the evidence. Each scenario relating to what may have happened to Jack has been carefully considered. We remain in weekly contact with the family to update the progress of our investigation. That's from Avon and Somerset Police. Where are we now?
Well, we're 151 days since Jack's been home. And we are doing everything in our power to continue looking for him, trying to seek information. We don't have a lot of contact with the police anymore.
Wow. That's unbelievable. That really is. When I heard this case, I didn't want to say it because I was waiting for more information to come out, or a friend had come forward and saw something, or you don't know, it could have been drugged, but you just don't know. Lots of things can happen over a short period of time. But my main thing is, I probably do go with the police on that one. It's just probably had an accident. That water, the River Avon, is dangerous at that time in March, and it runs rapidly as well, a strong current. So I would put a high percentage on that he'd possibly drowned, and the police just want to sort of close this case. But I think they should have done more. Friends, they were probably interviewed people at the party. Did they see anything suspicious? What was he like when he left? And they probably said he was fine when he left. Did anyone see him, a taxi, or anyone in that area? Anything is very important about the time he went missing.
We have a weekly email correspondence with them. We believe it's still an ongoing investigation. And we are being supported by, we have a private investigator, we have a gentleman called Charlie Hedges, who's a missing persons expert, who's been incredibly kind and supportive in helping us sort of go forward. And we have, from social media, which is not my thing, not my world at all, but we've had so much support. Somebody set up a page and it's escalating.
That's brilliant. It seems to have a lot more support as this case has gone on, and brilliant to Jack's mum really putting the word out there and getting more support. She seems to have got a lot more support than she did the first time around. I've done the video. If you see my first video on this, I was pretty new to the case. A couple of people asked me to cover it as well. But it is so sad that I think the police...
And we are getting offers of help and continued support.
And you're hoping this will jog someone's memory?
Yes. I mean, for me, I can see Jack on that last piece of footage. I can see him walking in a straight line with purpose. And then he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And I can also see so many vehicles driving past. And for me, I can't understand how somebody hasn't seen something.
Yeah.
That there's no
That's odd.
other information.
That is odd. This is my point. I'd seen this guy and said, oh right, I remember spotting someone. That's just amazing, because on my first video someone did message you, that's a busy road, did anyone see anything?
David, I want to come to you quickly, because is this something, this to me sounds like, I mean, it's like you're living every parent's worst nightmare. You really, really are, Catherine. And for me, it sounds something so kind of otherworldly.
Yeah.
Is this more, people missing and then there are no sighting of that person? How common is this? It's so hard to wrap your head around, because you're dealing with so much already as a family, but the confusion and so many unanswered questions.
Sure. And firstly, as Catherine and her husband Alan knows, I hold them in the highest esteem because of everything that they're doing and continuing to fight to find out what's happened to Jack. You're an amazing woman.
You really are.
According to government statistics, according to a charity called Missing People, someone is reported missing in the United Kingdom every 90 seconds.
Wow.
Now, that's almost like 170,000 people reported missing every single year. Thank heavens, 85% of those people are found within 48 hours. And what's interesting is that when they are interviewed as to why did you go missing, did you do this deliberately, or was this, you came to some harm? What people will share is that often a relationship had broken down, they were worried about money, they had mental health issues, and so they were temporarily missing. They deliberately went missing. And again, if
I
children...
must admit, that's a good point. You do get a lot of that. People just go missing for days where they need time for themselves, and they just lock off from everything. Like I said, it could be mental health issues, relationship issues, or anything, work issues.
go missing, so often they go missing as part of a custody dispute. So this is an incredibly common phenomenon, and very few people will experience what Catherine and Alan are experiencing.
Because it's come from nowhere.
Which is that their child is still missing after 48 hours.
Yeah. And why does some cases get more attention than others?
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems so strange.
And again, it's something I've discussed earlier with Catherine, is that this is when that criminological concept of the ideal victim becomes helpful to think about. An ideal victim, somebody who is seen as having legitimate victim status. So that tends to be in gender terms, women as opposed to men. It tends to be younger people as opposed to older people, or it tends to be the very older, elderly person as opposed to a younger person. It tends to be white people as opposed to black people. So the news, because the news is literally the plural of new, will pick up on those cases which have ideal victim status. And of course, you quite rightly mentioned Jay Slater. Some cases get, lots of publicity, other cases don't. And one of the things I've shared earlier with Catherine is that it seemed to me that Jay Slater became part of the mainstream media agenda because his friends were very good at using TikTok, Instagram, social media, and that in itself, because so many people started following that case, that creates an agenda for the mainstream media.
I was quite surprised that this case wasn't covered a lot more, and hardly any witnesses come forward. Yes, the police must have done their investigations of talking to friends and what was he like at the party. Was he drunk and his mum said he was walking normally, swiftly, seemed to have his head together. So, I mean, I can't really see. I don't know what happened to him, but I can't really see a third party involvement in this myself, to be honest with you. But the police say they scoped the river as best they can in the area where he thought he might have gone in, but hadn't come across a body, which is it's just unbelievable. I know that it's wide, it's deep, things can get lost at the bottom. There's just so many different theories of when we go back to the case of Nicola Bulley case, where it took quite some time for them to find her, where she was probably moving about a little bit in that water.
To latch on to.
Yeah.
Well, this is an appeal today, isn't it? This is an appeal there, like you say, there are cars that went past. You've seen in that CCTV any sighting. This is putting the spotlight back on Jack today, because that needs to
100%.
continue until you get the answers that you need.
Yes, indeed. I mean, it's unimaginable really to be in this position. You see these stories, or you hear about them. It's like something from a film. It's like your worst nightmare. And that's the only thing we can do is keep asking the question, really. Because I really strongly feel someone must know something.
Even if they've just seen something that they can't,
and they may not even sort of
Realise.
Think it's valid, but it could connect dots that need connecting.
Yes.
So
do.
any
What should they
information.
do? If people are job.
I agree, because with a case like this, no one's talking. With the Jay Slater case, I'm not comparing the two because they're completely different, but I found there was so much to go on, because actually people come out and said, they phoned him, they messaged him. So it got people thinking of the friends involved. Aya popped out, the detective, and it just went on and on and on. And I think people, for the family's sake, wanted to technically solve the crime for them, which we can't do. But all we were doing was just putting positive information out there. But with this case, there's nothing to go on, not even one witness, and that is critical, I think, in a case like this.
Jumped by this, and the members are jumped by this. What would you say they should get in touch with the police?
Yes, I mean, there is the police number, there's a crime number that's associated with it. We also have a website that has been very kindly set up for information. We have a reward in place for anybody that would provide the information that would directly lead us to finding Jack. So there is an email address attached to that.
Okay.
And there is also an organisation for anybody that's been similarly worried, called missingpeople.org, where there's lots of helplines that they can contact through that.
Oh, that's excellent to know that. I think as much information put out there and know about this case to jog people's memories in the Bristol area or round about that River Avon, anything helps. Even if it's something small or, even trivial to that person, say something, or was you around about that night? Did you see something strange around that area at that time?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine.
And well done.
Thank you, David.
Thanks,
A statement from Avon Somerset Police: a complaint from Jack F. Sullivan's family is being looked at by our professional standards department. Detectives have carried out an extensive investigation since we went missing. We fully appreciate the distress and anguish this is having on Jack's family. Our thoughts are very much with them.
Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube.
Wow, it's this one's a tough one, because normally in cases you always get a friend that come forward, or he did this, he did that, or he went this way, or I saw him, but nothing, which makes it does make it a bit eerie in some ways, because no information. And if I would probably say he may have fallen in. I think there's a high percentage of that, and as we know, the River Avon is very, very dangerous, and he couldn't obviously get back to the bank. That's a possibility. I would definitely put that as probably number one in this, because it's just everything is just been quiet since he went missing, and no one's come forward with any more information. But like I said, if anything, we've got to keep our fingers crossed and hope that he is found. So obviously his mum and dad and brother can have a conclusion on what happened to Jack. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment, and thank you for your support, all the old subscribers and the new subscribers. Thank you. Take care, wherever you are in the world.